Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS.
Hey, what's up, people? It's Speaking It in the Grave. That's the name change for today's show.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, Frank.
It's all right. It's all right. We got Carlos couldn't make it today, so we just kind of went ahead and changed the show up a little bit for today. You know, called in at last minute, and we decided to do a show. You know, and today's topic is mental illness. But before we get into that, I have a rant. I'm going to start off with my rant of the week. I'm going to start it off really, really early, just for the simple fact that I got put in Facebook jail. Okay. I
Why?
talk about why. Well, Frank, what's up, Sketchy? How you doing? Glad you're doing well.
Hi.
You know, I got put in Facebook jail because I said that I would kick his ass. So what happened? The post was one of the groups I'm a part of. They got into hey Danny. They got into a parking spot, right? We had somebody behind them, got out of the car, runs up to the parking space, and stands in the middle of the parking spot, blocking the parking space. So the guy's like, okay, what would you have done? So I would have kicked his ass. So I went against Facebook community standards, and they thought that I was insulting somebody. So they put me behind.
So what were you supposed to say? I was going to kick his behind?
I don't know. You just can't. I guess you just can't make threats. But you want to know what I got to say to that? Fuck you, Facebook.
What? Yes, fuck you, Facebook. I second that. Fuck you, Facebook.
Yes. Yep. I've had it. One of these days I'm gonna get rid of Facebook. Maybe not. Maybe just keep it for memories and pictures and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna keep it forever. Screw
Well,
Facebook.
why don't we invent our own? Our own. We'll call
Well,
it.
actually, it's funny you say that because Donald Trump came up with one, and it's called Truth
Oh
Social.
God.
Which you know what I actually signed up for. I actually want to see what it's about, and see what this guy is all about, what this loony man's gonna do, you know.
Oh
And look,
yeah.
Danny
There's
says it right.
probably.
Make MySpace again. Hell yeah, dude. I used to like MySpace. MySpace, it's funny because you used to actually be able to put music on MySpace. It was more. I liked it because you could customize it a lot more than what you do actually Facebook. Facebook, you can only have
It
your
was more like
posts.
having a web page.
Correct. 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 So it wasn't too bad. I mean, I would do it. I wouldn't mind having MySpace
Let's
again.
bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, right. But I think MySpace right now belongs to Facebook, anyways. So it's kind of weird.
Oh, does it? We'll get kicked off.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if I
You
choose
know
to play
what?
my mom, your mama's on crack rock. Yeah, they'll kick me off. They'll put me in
Maybe.
MySpace jail.
And I talk a minute. Talk about whatever you want a second.
Okay, whatever I want to talk about.
Yeah, how's your day
So
been?
my day has been wonderful. Not really. Started off morning with anxiety, major anxiety. It was horrible. I went to work. I was jittery. I couldn't get into working for the first few, what, maybe hour and a half. I had to go outside. I had to take a break. I had to collect myself. And I even took my medicine. I even took my medicine. I don't, maybe because Ariana was having anxiety and it just like came to me and I got anxiety because my poor baby had anxiety and I didn't know how I was going to help her. So,
Well,
but other than that, the day ended up being good.
all right, good, good, good. Well, we're gonna dive into that, a little more here in the show because if there's one thing that I tend to do a lot, and well, Carlos and I, always when we started this show, again, we started with politics, but then we've gone into social issues, social problems. People dealing with anxiety, mental illnesses. People that are actually living
Depression.
depression. We jumped into the gay market. Where people were in the closet for years and didn't know how to come out. So we're kind of starting to elaborate a little bit, but we still stay on our politics. But obviously, when I jump on the show on my own, it's fair game to talk whatever we want. And you know what? Today we're gonna tackle, mental illness, anxiety. You know, hey, Ena Sketchy says he's sorry about your
Ye-
anxiety, and he wants to know what medicine you take for it.
Thank you. I actually have a combination. I take Prozac and I also take Abilify and Adderall. So I have to, my doctor has me on a combination of three to help regulate it because believe it or not, as adults, it's not just one pill that works for everyone. They have to find the right combination for you, and that combination just happened to be the one that works for me the best.
Okay, all
But
right. Well,
therapy
that works.
and therapy helps a lot too. Knowing my triggers and knowing how to get out of that space. And I learned that by going to therapy.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you, what is it that makes you, what do you feel? How do you know you're having a panic attack or you're having an anxiety attack or what's the mindset?
When my When my anxiety first starts coming on, I can't concentrate. I can't focus. Then my heart starts to palpitate and I get real nervous. And sometimes I get like claustrophobic almost. And I just have to get away from what I'm doing and be by myself and take deep breaths and relax. There's other times when I've had them where I would sweat so bad that it was like I ran a marathon or I was at the gym working out and I can't breathe. And that's one of the biggest symptoms that a lot of people have because even my little 11-year-old suffers from anxiety, and hers is I can't breathe. Somebody's on my chest. And sometimes noises for me are really, I hear things like almost amplified. And I have to be in complete silence and darkness, almost like a migraine, but in my head. Wait, that didn't make sense. Well, you know what I mean, right?
Well, migraines are normally in your head. No, but I
I know
think
that, but my like the
I think
light
I
and
might be
the
able to relate. I've had the sweats, vision blurry, I couldn't breathe. Okay, I guess
yes,
for everybody's a little different. I guess we all suffer from that a little bit, and I think it all depends on how we handle it. I know that when I get anxious or when for me it's I can't sleep. I won't sleep. I'll be up for
I
days.
I have a pill for that too.
Um, I
And
mean
your
I
mind just races and thinks all the time, right?
oh well my mind yeah mine's always thinking. It's always racing. It's always going haywire. It's like you're overstimulated. Everything is too much. Yeah, Elizabeth Garcia kind of has it
Yes,
right. But my thing is that yeah, we we get into that. We get into a mind frame, and I think one of the biggest issues is, at least like maybe it's just me, but I'm one that I don't like drinking pills because I think there's a lot of side effects on pills the more you take them. The constant rule that you always take them, when it becomes like an everyday thing. So, I we have to kind of find a way to, what is your USA or WUSA, you know what I'm saying? Where you're able to just, okay, I don't
right,
really want to take my pill. I don't have to take my pill. I gotta just let it go and cool down. I can tell you that for me, it's just me being left alone, nobody bugging me. Just I gotta clear myself and my mind. I gotta not self medicate myself, but just kind of just ease down a little bit, right? Like,
right,
okay,
right.
these
And that's
thoughts,
exactly what I do today.
right? Where these thoughts in my mind are just all right. Got have to gather myself back together. Like, okay, these are just your thoughts. It's not stuff that's happening. It's just your thoughts.
That's why they say journaling, meditation, are and exercise are really good ways to get back to that not overthinking where you're not over getting the anxiety and things like that. So that's exactly today I had to step out of the room, collect my thoughts. I went outside, I took some deep breaths, I walked around the building, that kind of thing. Just like you said, just clear your mind from everything. And that helps a lot. But it's knowing what your triggers are and how to control your triggers. So even though I know how to control my triggers and I know what my triggers are, in my case, I still need the medication. And it's
Right.
not permanent, it's temporary. But they can be addictive, but you have to want on your own to not be on them long term and find solutions and not just depend on the pill. So I admire you from I actually, yes, I have. The only thing is I'm looking for the 1980, 1990 stuff because the stuff nowadays just knocks me out. Um, and I am familiar with mindfulness. That's part of the stuff that I also try to do when I'm by myself at home at night.
Okay, so what is mindfulness? I'm not familiar with that at all.
You're not familiar with it? It
No,
is,
what is?
well, it's part of the it's part of the meditation, it's part of the way you're thinking, it's part of there's like all these different all these different ways. All these different ways to deal with like the positivity, things like that. So I don't know how to explain it. All I know is I've read the book, I've done it. It's, you got to have that positive thinking and things like that. I mean, you have the negative light, you feed the negative light. What does it do? It's like a plant and it continues to grow. So you got to chop down the tree and bring in the positivity.
Okay, okay. So what else makes you trigger? What I mean is just
Um, Actually, I found out one of my triggers was, and this has absolutely nothing to do with my employer, but when I forgot, because when I set up my room, because I'm in the dental field, so when I set up my room for a procedure, I go through the whole procedure in my head and I put the what if this, I already know it's deep. If it turned into a root canal, I have to make sure that that stuff is there, or if they decide to extract it, like I have things set up so I can just grab them. And one of my triggers was that I forgot something in the room and I really came down hard on myself. Well, I talked to my therapist about it, and what it came down to was disappointing. Like I felt like I disappointed him, but it had
who
nothing to
did you
do with him.
disappoint?
It
Your
all
boss?
went back to when I was younger. Dis- my dad. No, it was deep down inside in the back of my head. It was that feeling of being perfect for my dad. So it triggered me because I wasn't perfect at that time. So I
Right,
felt
okay.
like I was disappointing my boss, but it was the trigger of the past. So that was one of the things me and my therapist talked about and I was able to work on that. So
Okay, okay, okay,
so
okay,
it's
okay.
it
All right.
yeah.
So would you actually sit here and say that a lot of your triggers are because of your past?
Yes.
Or just because of life itself?
No, a lot of them are through experiences and my past. I mean, growing up and I mean, my dad was very strict, old-fashioned. He always said I was born in America, but I was raised with Cuban morals. And, I was chaperoned for the longest time. That's why when I lived with you guys, I was like, your mom let me grow up. I was out of, came out of my shell. I
Right.
got to find myself and become Anna. And it was hard. But you know what? When he died, because we were so used to him, basically controlling our every single move or having like some kind of remark to say, then that was that was like a huge trigger because I didn't feel adequate. I didn't feel all I wanted to hear was him say, I'm proud of you. And those words never came out of his mouth. But I had to learn that he said it
Yeah.
but in his own way because you know him
Well,
better just as well as I do. He never came
well,
out and
I
told
will
you things
tell
the way
you
you wanted to hear
that
them.
no, he never did, but his actions
Spoke louder than his
around
words.
others spoke louder, louder than words. But look, my sister says something, and she's absolutely right. It's a Quetzal thing,
It is.
you know. It is, but
It is.
actions always spoke, and I've always said it. I was lucky in the world, right? I had my dad, I had my stepdad. They're great. Once I
And you
left
had
to the
my dad for a little
military,
while.
right, and that's the point where that I'm getting to is that I Renee Renee, my stepdad, and my dad Carlos raised me to be a man, hands down. But my uncle was the determining factor or finished the role when I was already a man. You follow what I'm saying? Instead of me being that, not gonna say the immature kid, because I think I was still immature for many, many years after becoming a
Hmm.
man. All right.
I
But
agree.
he finished the molding. There we go, the molding of, hey, this is what this is, this is what that is. Family sticks together. If one's not allowed, then we're all not allowed. And I
Exactly.
think you know what story I'm going to there.
I
Okay.
know which one you mean, the one that you weren't
So,
invited to the party, that you had
and
to
I showed
leave,
up, and
and
it
they
was
asked you to leave.
right. So, going on to Sketchy's comment here, when I guess this was obviously me asking about mindfulness. Mindfulness is living in the moment. Most people
Yep.
dwell on the past or worry about the future. The past is done, and you don't know what tomorrow will bring you. Focus on the present moment. I guess a lot of the
Yes, yes.
I guess a lot of the moments
Living
that
in the
I
now.
deal with, right. I mean, I live a lot in the now. Okay, I live a lot in the now. I try not to dwell on the past. You know what? Because at the end of the day, the past has already happened. There's nothing you can do to change it.
And there's a lot
Okay.
of things in the future you can't change either, or in that second.
Well, I mean, it's whatever you do now is what's gonna it's to me at least it's a trigger effect. If like
True.
right now, watch this just for shits and giggles. We did a show today on Wednesday because Carlos couldn't do it. Right? What happens
Right.
if this leads to actually a new show? Right? I just put the name out there, speaking it real in between the grid. Right? Hey, why not? We could do a show called Speaking It Real in Between the Grid.
That's
Right?
right.
This might be a future leader or something else. So it's what we're doing now. We're living now. I mean, that's the way I see it. Maybe I'm
That's
wrong. Maybe I'm right.
no. I think
You
you're. I
know.
think you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail right on the head.
So let's see. Most of our triggers are rooted in our upbringing and our experiences throughout our formative years. Yeah, I would think
I
so.
agree.
I think so. You still have, thanks, Elizabeth. Very nice of you. Thank you
Oh,
for the
I
intro.
agree 100%, Liz.
I
Elizabeth.
think, but you know what? I think we all have immature moments.
Oh, we do. I'm 50 and I still have them at work. I was doing yoga while I was waiting for my doctor in the middle of the, but it helps me stay young. I don't feel 50. I don't look 50.
Right.
So,
So Liz says, focus on what you can control, not what you can. Well, I guess that's kind of saying is stress what you can control. Don't stress what you can't control. I mean, I
and
do I do live a lot like that where I'm not going to sit here and stress what I cannot control.
but
I
here's the
cannot.
thing, when you have mental illness, when you have a depression, when you can't control those thoughts and you can't control those feelings
Yeah, you still
because
do.
it's negative. Wait, what did Danny say?
That he still has the moments, buddy. You're gonna have the moments for a long time. If you take after your dad, you're gonna have them for a long time.
A long, long time.
Long,
Long,
long.
long, long time.
What do you get
Love
for
you
five
long
dollars?
time.
So, you know, where do you go? You have your episode. People notice.
Exactly. And that's
What
why it's
happens to
so
the people
important to
around
get
you?
help when you have
I
mental illness. And a lot of people are in denial about having mental illnesses, you know?
Yeah, but you know what? I think. I mean, I'll be honest. I think a lot of things now is everybody puts a label on everything. Okay,
Oh my
everybody
God, I
nowadays is
know.
labeled. Okay, and just because you have a moment, okay, doesn't mean you have
Okay,
mental
Mr.
illness.
Cuban.
No,
It's
I
not,
just the quality of your thoughts determine the quality of your life. Absolutely right. I mean,
yes.
because I could sit here and have a moment, okay, but it doesn't mean that I have a mental illness. I think it varies from individual to individual.
No, but mental illness is when you can't come to terms to whatever you are dealing with. Perfect example. People that have been sexually molested as children, women that have been raped, men that have been raped. Those are certain things that if you just bury them deep down inside, they keep on festering in your subconscious. So it's not that you have a moment, but then you have something that triggers you and it causes a depression. And that depression can go in any way. That depression can lead to being addicted to drugs, being addicted to sex, being addicted to alcohol, being addicted um, to anything, or even committing suicide because you don't know how to handle those emotions. So I wouldn't say, I mean, I would say yes, everybody handles things different, but not unless you had some sort of traumatic thing happen in your life and never work on it or try to heal from it. I think that's what causes your mental your mental illnesses.
Mm,
Exactly. That's why so many people don't like to say they go to therapy. I'm not ashamed. You can call me crazy all you want. I go to a therapist and I have a psychiatrist, and it's just easy. I can deal with my stuff. I live most of my life happy now since I'm able to overcome a lot of my issues.
well, apparently, this is just me doing a quick search. 1 in 5 U.S. adults live with a mental illness.
Y-
There were
yes,
52.9. There was 52.9 million people in 2020 diagnosed with a men, wow, with a
mental
mental illness.
illness.
Yes.
Yeah, because of COVID too. Let's see, and
Yeah.
because of a lot of people, yep, that's right. And then we're
She's talking
locked
about
in the
back in the
house.
day. Yeah, and but you are crazy. I love you. You see, well,
Oh,
Danny hit
I
the
love
nail
you
on the head.
too.
You are nuts. We
Exactly.
still love you anyways. But
But
my
I'm a
thing,
happy, fun, crazy person.
so let's see. In 2020, there's 5.9 million people, right? And 90% of adults are experiencing mental illness. This is in 2021, elevated to over 47 million Americans. 4.5, 4.5 are experiencing a severe mental illness. So 4.5%, or 4.5%. The
And you want to
severe.
hear the crazy
Uh
thing?
huh.
COVID is a huge trigger for mental illnesses as well.
Hold on, because
He-
you want to know what happens every time we mention COVID on this show?
what happened? But it's true. How can you explain my mother getting as bad as she did after she had the toilet flush?
Mm, Um, I can't. You know.
Because even the doctors said that it triggered, she didn't have the breathing, but it messed with her brain. And that's when she couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, and she couldn't go to the bathroom. It messed with her head.
Right, but I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, the older you are, the worse it is, I guess. When you get
But
it,
that's my
and
yeah, but that's my point. It's affecting people mentally.
I think it depends. I think it's a lot more on the individual on how it affects them. Um, I mean, I know that I haven't had COVID, so the only effects that I've gotten from COVID is where, oh, you got it, and it's been do I have it? Oh my God, am I gonna get it now? Oh shit, I have a cough. Is this COVID? You know what I'm saying? So that to me is the only effect that it truly had. Um, so kind of it works out that way. I know hypochondriacs. That's I think part of a mental issue also.
It
You know,
is because you can make
I
yourself sick.
yeah, I know somebody that back in the day went to a strip joint and he thought he could get AIDS by having a stripper dance on him. You know, and he left the strip joint all scared shitless. You know,
Carlos, we told you that was not true.
you
That
remember
he
the
had
story
AIDS. That's
then?
what you get for having the cochina dance on you. That's your mom put that in your head. Your whoever that is, their mom put that in their head, man. Because I told Christian got the croup one time, and I told him it was because he kissed a girl.
So let's see, in California, a majority of the homeless suffer from a serious mental illness. The uptick of people experiencing mental illness are also due to social issues such as cost of living and housing. Yes, I
Yes.
completely agree with that. I think not now, when especially now when you start looking at things like what? I'm gonna give you a perfect thing that happened to me now. My fence in my yard has to be changed. Okay, I've known it has to be changed, right? I've been pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off because why? Everything's going up, 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 right? My job is here, right? So I went from being here, right, where I was making more money than what my expenses were, but now my expenses are level with my job, right?
So you have no
Now
money.
I got
Yeah.
so now I got to put in a fence, okay? And it was funny because I was on the phone with Elizabeth when this happened. I opened the fence door and went look, and I ended up with the door in my hands. Literally, I'm like, fuck. Now I gotta fix my fence
So why didn't you get the tape and just tape it back up?
because that just won't happen. No, it wasn't that. My tools are not at my house. I know my tools are, and all my tools are scattered. My tools are not here right now at my house. So go figure. I don't have my tools. I all I had was a hammer and some screws. Guess what I did?
You screwed the
I
hammer in. I mean, you hammered the screws in.
yes, yes. No, man, that wood's rotten. I wish the wood glue would work on the hinge. You know, you
Yep.
see, that was a total trigger for you. Had a moment of the world ending, of course, because I see it
Yep.
as I'm here, right, financially, and and shit like that, and work. But now I start doing this, where here's work and here are the expenses now.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people are worrying about too, because a lot of these jobs don't, I mean, employers don't want to pay.
Look, my sister says it right. I think mental illness is serious. Not enough people have the help they need or know how to cope. You're right. I mean, look, I'll tell you one thing that I've done, and it's this show. All right, this show is to me at times
It's
is a
therapy.
de-stressor. All right, it's a therapy. Hey, look, I I go to Home Depot and it's therapy. Okay, I could walk around Home
Yes,
Depot and look at what I want, and there's times that if I'm pissed off enough, I'm gonna buy it.
you'll get it. It's retail therapy. Yes.
Okay, I've I've gotten pissed off, and I said, you know what, fuck it, and I've gone and bought whatever the hell I wanted, whether I needed it, whether I didn't need it, it didn't matter. I said, screw it.
And then do you get buyer's remorse and return it?
No, no.
I
Once
I've
I buy
done.
it, I buy it. There's really I see it as, hey, I already did it. It's in the past. Go forward.
Oh, sometimes I get buyer's remorse and I'm like, did I really need that? I'm gonna take it
No.
back. And other times I'm like, I work hard.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes. Maybe not all the time, but I do it. I've got on Amazon.
Every once in a while is good.
Right. I've
Oh, I
got on
love
Amazon.
Amazon. I love the Amazon guy stopped at our house, asked Julio. Julio was outside, and they asked Julio if everything was okay because he hadn't delivered in a few days. True story.
Hmm. So people deal. I mean, but you know what? It's mental illness comes in all forms, shapes, right? You
Exactly.
could be good. You could be good, okay, and when your partner's having a bad day, okay, or a bad time, you know what? It's actually, you know, it takes a toll on you because you don't know what to do.
And sometimes
What
it's
could you
best just
do?
to leave them alone. That's when you have to have good communication, and your partner has to let you know like what can help when they're in that space. Because I can, like Julio knows that whenever I'm starting to get that anxiety, he knows I need to come lay down for a little bit and I need to collect my thoughts and just give me time to breathe. And he gives me my space. And when it's over, he's like, okay, you feel better now? Yes, I feel better now. And then we go on our day. But he's learned to also know that when I give a certain look or act a certain way, I'm about to get triggered.
Right,
So
right, right. Of course.
it's that communication, that learning and being open about it too.
So let's see, sketchy. Wages have not gone up with the cost of living and housing. If minimum wage rose with the wage of inflation since the 70s, it will be at $22. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. The rich get richer. I completely agree with you, Sketchy. I think you're absolutely right on that. And by the way, Sketchy, I got a question. Is part of your therapy on test driving cars? Since I know you've been test driving cars lately, so I
Oh,
mean,
really?
is that
Test
what
drive?
that?
What kind of cars?
He test drives decent cars, I believe. You know.
Uh,
But I think when you start dealing with your partner's issues, like I was saying earlier, it takes a toll. Because as much as you want to be there for your partner, you might get shut out.
exactly. And that's where you can't get
You
butthurt
know,
about it.
but I
That's where
think it
you
depends
have to
on the individual.
understand.
You
Yeah, but
know,
you have to understand, and that's where that communication comes, where you have to realize that you can't be the savior. Like that person that's going through it has to learn how to save themselves. It's like the airplane. Put your mask on you first before you can save somebody else. Put your life preserver on and then you put the life preserver on other people. If you can't save yourself, you can't expect for anybody else to save you. And if your partner can't understand that you need to save yourself, they can't always be the savior, then they're not helping you.
right?
And that's coming from somebody that is the sick one, you know what I mean?
Well, Linda Dawson says it
Exactly.
right. Sometimes people need to vent. I
Yes.
mean, I know that for me, a lot of times it's like I said, I shut down sometimes, and it's not a good thing to do. But I also kind of vent, after the fact. I'm like, hey,
And that's
look,
okay.
what happened? You know. So it's things are just part of life, and shit happens. I think a lot of it is how we deal with it.
Mhm.
As an individual. What I could never understand, and maybe it's wrong of me to say, but it's my show. I'm going to speak it how I want, and I speak it real. So
Mhm. And it's in
and
between the gray too.
correct. What I don't understand is how someone could attempt or try to take their own life. Um, that just goes into something totally, totally, totally out there. You know,
That I have a few things about that I'd like to. Um, it's not getting the help that you need and being in. Remember, I was telling you that if you give it, it's like a plant, that darkness, that those evil thoughts are like a plant, and the more light you give it, the more it grows. And the
Mm-hmm.
sicker and sicker you become, it becomes a darkness, a deep hole that you don't know how to get out of. And the only way that that you think you can get out of it is by ending it all, because you have so much hurt and so much pain and so much. I mean, that's when you're to the point where you need to check yourself into a hospital. You need to call 1-800, you need to call 911, and you need to get help for that. You need professional help, or even if it's just calling, like if I called you and told you I'm not in a good place, I would hope that you would call 911 for me, or call somebody that I know to say, hey, this is going on. This is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Some people, a lot of people that attempt are looking for help, just like your cutters, your overeaters, your bingers. They want, it's like bad attention, but they're looking for help and don't know how to get the help. And sometimes it goes too far and they end up killing
Right.
themselves.
All
So
right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're absolutely right there. You know.
I've been in that dark spot before. I've been in that very dark spot where I didn't want to live anymore and I just wanted to be with my dad. And the only thing that stopped me, because I seriously thought about getting a gun and blowing my brains out, and the only thing that stopped me was picturing my son finding me that way
Right. 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 Right.
when he
So
was
let's
5 years
see.
old.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. So I guess Sketchy ended up with a lemon.
Oh
You know,
no.
yeah, my therapist highly recommended I continue to test drive cars to deal with some issues I'm dealing with. I got tricked last week. Let's say this car was junkyard material appearing as a showroom model. Sketchy, it happens, man. It happens to the best of us. You know,
Oh yes. I
you
would
know.
take it. What would my dad do? Take it and put it in the front door and tell him with a big old sign, paint it pink and say, "Take this shit back."
Yep. Maybe thought of the lowest and thought life for it. Yeah. Again. I don't know. To me, that thoughts never run my mind, and I could never. I don't even fathom that. I can't. It doesn't.
I never thought
I,
I
I,
would
I,
either.
I have a hard time relating to that at all. I mean, mind you, I carry, I have guns and stuff like that, but to me, it's always no, 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 no. I got my children to live for.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
that's exactly what
I,
stopped me.
I see it as I have to be the model for them in the sense where whatever I'm going through, I have to come out of it. I have to show them that it's not the end of the world, whatever you're going through. And I've gone through my shit, gone through my share of shit. People close to me know exactly. I've done crazy shit in my life, but I've always
Frankie
come
done
out of it,
crazy stuff? I don't believe that.
you know.
No.
So Liz says, I think we all need to feel like we are useful and that there's some sort of purpose in our life. Well, yeah, I think we all have to feel that there is some type of purpose to live. I think
Exactly.
that we, you know,
And like you said, your kids are your purpose. My son
right.
was my purpose, and my daughter now my family. You know what I mean? So that was the only thing that stopped me from doing it, was who's going to take care of my son? Nobody's going to take care of my son the way that I was going to take care of him, and like hell, I was going to let Marcos and Milady raise him.
Right, of course. So let's see,
So
Liz. We need to have strong. I'm sorry. We need to have strong wide that will take us out of our deep, our dark, deep place. Okay, hold on. We need to have a strong mind that will take us out of our dark, deep places. I think when you get into those dark places and you can't pour your own stuff out of it, you have to seek additional help. Not knowing where to turn to and getting yourself out to recognize that is the hard part.
exactly. Oh, it's okay. We still understood you.
Hey, look. It's that twin thing. All right, it's that twin thing. Don't worry about it. I got you. I I, I fixed it. Who would have thought that at this day and age I'm correcting my sister? Huh, yes.
Exactly.
I got one on you. Finally. It took
Special
47
ed
years.
helped you.
I finally got one in 47 years. It's fucking great. You know what? That's it. Show's over. I'm gonna go party now for it. I got it. Yes. 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 Yes.
Oh
I'm
man.
driving. Too bad. Doesn't matter. I still win. You lose. That's it. No excuses. Excuses. Stop making excuses. I win. I win.
Let him have it, Liz. Let him have it.
Yeah, you gotta let me have that one, please. All right,
Just
I won.
one. Just one.
Just one in 47 years. Damn it. But look, in all honesty, mental illness could be a bunch of other things. Not a bunch of other things, but I think. Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
You were you used to be overweight,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So how did that mess with your psyche? How did that mess with your mind?
Being a
Or
roommate?
did it? No, being overweight.
Oh, that really, I think part of my problem was because I had mental illness and I went to food because I would go on binges. So that caused me to become overweight. But what also caused it was I would eat and binge when I was younger. So that messed up my metabolism. I started having irregular heartbeats and things like that. And then it got to the point where I gained so much weight that it was almost like the food gave me that satisfaction that I wasn't getting from outside. It was the only thing that couldn't tell me anything negative. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
if I felt bad about it, I'd just throw it up. And then I got rid of that feeling.
Okay.
I was in control. And then now
Okay.
that I've lost all this weight, I mean, I still have to be careful because every once in a while I mean, I can barely eat 700 calories a day. And I'm supposed to have 1,200 calories a day, but I'm still working on I need to eat in order to lose weight. If I do not eat, I will plateau. But in the back of my head, I still have that you don't want to get fat again. You don't want to get fat again. You've already lost 120 pounds. You don't want to get fat again. So I mean, but going to therapy has helped me a lot because I know, no, I have to eat. And I look good the way I am now. I'm happy.
It was funny because I was talking to a mutual friend of ours,
Hmm.
and they asked me, why your hair was short, and they're like, "Oh, was she sick?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 she was not sick." Like, really? I said, "Yeah, she just cut it just to cut it." So I know that you spoke about it a bit on your show. Why did you cut your hair?
I cut my hair, one, because it was looking kind of thin. It wasn't growing in right. When I lost a lot of weight, I started losing a lot of hair. And it was just so freaking liberating. I just wanted to get rid of it. It was the best decision I could have ever made. And it was just liberating. It was one of those things that I've always wanted to do. A lot of women dream about doing it. Some women look good in it, some women don't. And when I went to the barber, he's like, "You know what? You have a good shaped head. This is going to look good on you." And I just did it. I just did it. A lot of women can't, like, their hair is everything and they can't just say, "You know what? It's just hair. It'll grow back." So
Okay, all right.
it empowered me. I'm telling you, the first few, when you start seeing yourself bald, it is so empowering because you can be different and still love yourself. It made me like love myself more.
All right, good. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you answered question number two. So it was empowering. It actually it brought you up, is
Yes.
what you're pretty much saying.
Yeah, it gave me confidence. It just, I don't know. You seen G.I. Jane. Remember when she shaves her head in that movie and she just becomes like this badass? Like, that's what it makes you feel like inside. It just makes you feel like
Mhm.
a badass.
Right. Well, for those people that have just joined us, we've been talking mental illness. What triggers you, what doesn't trigger you, what do you do when you're triggered. And I've been giving some points on what she does. She does, she takes some meds. She does, what is it called,
Mindfulness, living in the now,
mindfulness, living the now. um
meditation,
Meditation. You
journaling,
know, journaling. What's journaling exactly? Would that be
where you
reading
just write your
or
thoughts.
writing?
No, you write your thoughts. You just write down anything. And it could be not make sense, but just as long as you write those thoughts down.
Right. And we've been kind of going back into a background of how, why why you're triggered. A lot of it was upbringing, and just how, and just life, on how it's taken you, and your journey in life. Correct.
Correct. And some of the
Right.
things are your fault. I mean, some of the things can be things that have happened to you, which are no fault of your own, and others are, things that you did that you regret doing.
Right. I think we we always need to try to learn how to get out of our funks. Whichever way you get out of it, you choose to get out of it. I do believe that when you are in a funk, you can't sit there and lie to yourself.
Exactly. And that's the
Okay.
biggest.
And I'll use an example as saying, all right, I'm in a funk, right? But you know what? I'm happy. I'm this. I'm great. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm happy. Again, I'm
You're
happy.
lying to yourself.
People tend to use the word I'm happy. I'm great. Feel I feel like I've never felt before in my life. Okay. And
Yeah,
I
because deep
think
down
that
inside you
when
feel like shit. No, I'm sorry.
no, well, it's absolutely true. And I think that when you start lying to yourself, you get deeper into that mindset of, yeah, I want to think I'm happy. I'm going to portray I'm happy. But you know what? At the end of the day, when you lie down in bed, your mind starts to run.
You're miserable. You become the victim of your own negativity. And usually the people that are the most negative and have the most negative thoughts are usually the ones that are in denial.
Well, yes and no. But let's check out this comment. So my sister says, "Hi, Sink," which she says, "I think
I think,
as a society we need to help children more. They are
yes,
they are not taught coping mechanisms for how to solve problems or situations.
Yeah, because they're giving everybody
Elizabeth,
freaking
some
trophies.
people cope that way though. They try to convince themselves that they're okay. All right, so they let's start off with my sister. Hi, Sync. She sinks
Hi-
society. Okay, actually, let's. Society needs to help children more, right? Children are not taught coping mechanisms for how to solve their problems. She's absolutely right. Okay,
It's up to the parents to be able to
but
teach them, but if the parents never learned, how are they supposed to teach the kids?
well, then who teaches the kids?
We have to, as parents, we have to be open-minded
Okay, watch this. Okay, but
to
watch
it.
this. So what happens if the parent is not open-minded? Do we leave it
Te
to the schools?
jodiste. No, it's not the school's responsibility. That's a big problem
Well,
too. A lot of
I'm
people
gonna.
think you send your kids to school. It's up to the teacher to teach your kid. Well, yeah, it's up to your teacher to teach your kid, but it's up to you to make sure that they learn it.
Um, you got a point, and you don't have a point. Like, look, Elizabeth says this. Who taught us, right?
Life taught me.
Sketchy peasant. I smoked the devil's lettuce. Pump my brakes. Get back in the smooth pavement, and keep on chooching. 10% is what happens to you, and 90% is how you react. He's absolutely right.
Yep.
Okay, I agree with Sketchy. If it's up to me, I gotta settle down. I'm gonna smoke. I think whether it's weed, whether it's cigarettes, and mind you, I haven't smoked cigarettes
Faith,
for a while. I don't like the vaping. I can't get into that.
I rather have vape than smoking cigarettes.
I had a vape. I mean, I don't really smoke cigarettes nowadays anymore, but sometimes I get that urge, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'll die for one. I want one. Okay, I'll take a hit. I'll take a hit. All right, goodbye. Have a good day. You know. So who taught us? Okay, and what are we doing differently than was done to us? Why are our kids less prepared? Because we're
Okay,
not teaching them.
exactly. And this is one thing that I'll never forget that Renee said when I used to live with you guys. When he said that that his generation, meaning my dad and your dad, were still living in the old ways, where he tried to teach us to be more modern. So in the 90s, which he did. And living with your mom and Renee is what helped me become the person that I am and to become more open minded. So I can say that I learned from Renee and your mom and Celita, Tia Celita. And it opened my mind from what I was used to. Now, being open minded is what is helping me help my children and not cover the sun with my thumb and say, oh, no, there's no problem. This can't happen to them. We take the bull by the horns and we just get through it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's something I agree with or don't agree with. We figure out a solution.
Right. Yeah, I think that whichever way we look at it, we need to teach our kids.
Yes, I agree with you
Um
100% there.
I know Alex has had his own mental breakdowns, Um, we need to teach him how to cope with it. I mean, it's happened with Daniel. He's had his own mental breakdowns at times, and it's always try to okay, what's wrong? What can we do to help you? How, how do you cope? I mean, Danny's a grown man now, so
Hmm.
it's hard to
And you can always
determine
call me
when
if you want.
you know. And I think that for the kids, it's hard for them to turn to their parents at times for the simple fact that they don't want their
Exactly. And
parents,
that's why
I think kids don't want their parents to label Okay.
Exactly. But you know what? That's where we got to give them. That's why I try to be, even though all of my cousins' kids are really my cousins, to me, they're my nieces and nephews. And that's why I always keep an open door with no judgment. And they can come to me they can come to me open and honest, and I'll help them solve a problem just like I would with my kids.
Right. Right. I mean, and that's being a parent. Oh, you know what I'm saying? But
Exactly. But
I,
having somebody, and I tell my kids too, hey, if you don't want to talk to me, you have a bunch of aunties and uncles you can talk to. So I mean, we have on mom's side and on our side, the Cuesta side, you know what I mean? That he has there's so many aunties and uncles that he knows that he can talk to.
right.
And
Right. Right.
Ariana too.
Yeah. Well, I think we've had a pretty good discussion on this.
Yeah, I
You
think so
know,
too.
mental illness is something that I enjoy talking. I To me, I'd rather get the word out there. I would rather have, especially the kids. You know, I know there's kids that listen to my show. You know, and hey, you know what? Talk to somebody. You
Anybody,
know,
a school counselor,
I'm
a
not. You
friend.
know, whether and this goes to whether you're an adult, a child, whatever stage you are in life. Talking solves a lot. Talking is one of those things that before you know it, you could be all the way up here, pissed off, going nuts, you know, having a mental breakdown. And when you just start talking about it, okay, and the other person doesn't really have to respond. Okay,
Just
all the other
listen.
person needs to do is just listen. And I think that if we have a lot more people listening, okay, as opposed to giving opinions or talking, a lot of these people that suffer from mental illnesses might be better off
Yes, I agree.
than than having somebody, oh, but you're just crazy, oh no, those are crazy thoughts, or that's this or that's that. Look, I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, okay, but I also know when I gotta shut up and not joke around and listen. Okay,
Exactly. And not
and
pass judgment's the most important thing. Don't pass judgment on them
right, right.
because that breaks
And
all trust.
of course, of course, of course. So we've reached that segment of the show where I mean I kind of just gave my final thought. I'm not sure if Anna has her final thoughts.
Well,
You
I
know,
just want to say that there's always somebody out there. Reach out for help if you feel you are not alone. You know, sometimes we think we're the only ones that are going through these problems, and we're not. There's a lot of people that are out there and a lot of people that will understand. So, talk to a doctor, talk to your friend, talk to a counselor if you're in school, an aunt, an uncle, somebody that you trust, and somebody that won't pass judgment, or come on to our show and just message, I need help. And somebody will try to figure out something for you.
yeah. I mean, again, we're not experts because
No,
we're
we're
not,
not, but we're
but
parents.
we'll listen. You know, so
Exactly. We will listen without judgment.
but listen. Monday night you have part two of Sex and Relations. Come check her out Monday
Yes.
night at 9 on In Between the Gray. Look, if you have a question for her, if you want to be a guest on her show, just send her an email, in between the gray at gmail.com, or get a hold of me. I produce her show. You
We'll
know,
be happy to have you on.
speaking in real podcast at gmail.com. So at the end of the day, you know what? Come on board. We'll get you on. Or even if you want to be a guest on my show, Speaking It Real with me and
There
Carlos.
you go.
We're on Wednesday nights, 9:00. So you want to be on, just get a hold of us. We're
There
not too
you go.
difficult to get a hold of. Remember, In the Gray, Monday nights at 9. Speaking It Real, Wednesday nights at 9. And hey, maybe we
Ooh,
just
maybe we could be
might
a foursome.
have. We'll see. We'll figure that out. Wonderful show. Thanks for the highlight and important topic that needs further discussion. You're batting 1,000. Keep up the great work. Sketchy, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, this is Speaking It in the Gray.
Come see us on Monday too.
We speak the stuff that you
Bye.
don't want to talk, and we keep it real, people.
Real.
See you all next week.